I want it to be in your head that your mistakes are not finite. Your mistakes are not death sentences. Your mistakes are not suddenly the reason why all your dreams are going to amount to nothing, and why all your hard work has gone to waste, and whatever story it is that you tell yourself. None of that is true. You will be okay. Keep putting your best foot forward. Whenever you make a mistake, there is a workaround. There is something that can be done to fix the situation. Nothing is ever just dead, gone, over, done with. In the midst of a pandemic, or actually just a little bit before the pandemic, I started off as a tarot reader and doing meditation workshops and journaling workshops and just helping people grow spiritually. And I started this in January of 2020. We all know what happened in March of 2020. I was stuck at home, just me and my brand new business, and my perfectionism went to work. I was obsessing over this business in a way that was not healthy, and in a way that ultimately suffocated it, to the point where I took every failure so personally. And for any of you who've ever started a business, you know you're going to make mistakes, right? But I was so obsessed with this business. I took every mistake personally. I took every failure personally. I was devastated whenever my income went up and down. I was devastated when people said no to working with me. It almost felt like, and I can say this lovingly and kind of jokingly, it almost felt like I was looking for reasons to be upset about the business. I could have been having the time of my life. I mean, it was still the pandemic, right? But I could have been enjoying the process of starting a new business and of learning new skills and of meeting new people and all the beautiful things that come from starting something that means a lot to you. But instead, I was so busy judging myself. I made it something so hard and so stressful. And ultimately, it got to the point where I quit. There were 4 months in 2021 where I didn't even touch the business. I was in the middle of running a course, and I literally reached out to my students and told them, I am not able to finish this course, and I offered them refunds because I was just done with the business. That didn't serve me. That didn't serve anyone. But we know that it gets better because I am here in 2025, and that period only lasted 4 months. But in order to really heal and move through that, I needed to heal my perfectionism. I want to give you the things that helped me the most, so that if you are in this situation where your perfectionism is hindering your ability to show up and to do the things you really want to do and to be that person that you really want to be, I am going to help you, and we are going to get out of this. Thing number 1 was understanding that perfectionism is just fear of failure, and fear of failure has a root cause. Figure out why you're afraid to fail. For me, it had to do with childhood. The way in which mistakes were handled when I was growing up felt very harsh and felt very scary. And it felt like if I don't do everything perfectly, I will have danger to face. There will be something really scary on the other end of every mistake. And so I started to really fear failure. I don't know your story, but I do know that you need to figure out why you're afraid of failure, and then you need to heal that fear. Do what you need to do. So do you need to forgive yourself? Do you need to forgive anyone else? Do you need to go to therapy? I was in therapy for 10 years. You might not need to go to therapy for 10 years. You might need to go to therapy for 10 years. And I want to say right here and now, healing is possible. Healing is yours to claim. You get to have healing. And part of the reason why I say, okay, I was in therapy for 10 years, a lot of why it felt so hard and heavy to heal from my fear of failure was tied to the fact that I was going about my healing journey in a very inefficient way. I was not using somatic practices, even though at this point in 2025, we know that trauma is stored in the body. And so when I learned about breathwork and started doing breathwork very consistently, and I even hired a one-on-one breathwork facilitator and worked very closely with her for 12 months, that made a huge difference for me. When I started to notice the correlation between moving my body and my mental health, stuff like that, meditation, those things helped me heal much faster than just sitting in therapy talking about what was going on. And so think about how you can heal holistically rather than just, continuing to talk about your situation. So there's one more thing I want to say to you that's also been really important for me on this journey, and that ties into the spiritual stuff that we were just talking about. So there is a spiritual concept called grace. We use the word grace in our everyday life, and what I really want you to do is just separate out how you view grace in terms of like being a graceful person and whatever associations you might have with the word grace, and start to think about what it would mean if there was grace for every single one of your mistakes. And so in the Bible, it says, where sin abounds, grace abounds all the more. Now, the word sin can bring up a lot for people, but sin is ultimately just an archery term that means to miss the mark. That's literally the translation of the word sin. Religious people have blown the word sin up to mean all kinds of things, but when we look at just like what was being said in the original language, we're referring to an archery term that means to miss the mark. And so this was just a metaphor to say when you get it wrong, when you miss the mark, when you mess up, grace abounds all the more. There is grace for you every time you make a mistake. No matter what belief system you have, no matter what your spiritual life has looked like up until this point, I'm not telling you that you have to believe everything that I believe, but I would encourage you to consider the possibility that there is a built-in support system for you so that when you make mistakes, it is not going to ruin your life. It is not going to be scary. It is not going to ruin your career or your relationships or whatever it is that you are worried is at stake when you make a mistake, or wherever it is that your perfectionism is showing up. If you're feeling perfectionism and if you're feeling that fear of failure, it is likely because you do not believe that grace applies to this situation. You believe that if you make a mistake, it's all on you. There's nothing that can be done to salvage the situation. It's ruined, it's over, it's done. And again, there's probably a real reason why you feel this way. And that is why we talked about doing your healing work. And doing your healing work is very important. But I would also encourage you to just open up to the idea that when you make a mistake, you will be okay. The situation will be okay. Everyone involved will be okay. And it might take some time for everything to be okay, but it will be okay. And as soon as you make the mistake, the corrective process is already in motion, because Spirit, God, the divine source, whatever you believe in, is that good, loves you that much, cares about you that much, and wants the very, very best for you. It's not like God is like, oh my God, I wanted you to succeed, but then you went and made that mistake and now you can't possibly succeed. God has infinite ways of getting you where you want to go. It's not like God is like, oh, I wanted you to have a healthy marriage, but then you said that awful thing and now you can't have a healthy marriage. No, God cares about your marriage. God loves your marriage. God wants you to thrive and to be successful in all that you do, in all areas. God wants the best for you, and you can't ruin God's plan by making a mistake. You just can't. You just can't. There will always be more grace for every single mistake. There will always be a surplus of grace, no matter what has gone wrong. And so keep that in mind as you look into your fear of failure and as you heal your fear of failure. Remember that grace abounds all the more every time you make a mistake. And you can even apply this in your day-to-day. So let's say right after you watch this video, you go and you realize you made a mistake. Can you just say to yourself in your mind, okay, there's grace for me here? Or whatever the words are that would make sense to you. Okay, I just made a mistake, but it's okay. I used to call it cosmic wiggle room, and sometimes I still use that phrase because I love it, but cosmic wiggle room. God's figured out another way for me to get there. Okay, this wasn't the way, but God knows the way. So I trust God. You know? Cosmic wiggle room. So however you need to think about this idea, I want it to be in your head that your mistakes are not finite. Your mistakes are not death sentences. Your mistakes are not suddenly the reason why all your dreams are going to like amount to nothing, and why all your hard work has gone to waste, and whatever story it is that you tell yourself, none of that is true. Your mistakes are covered by grace. You will be okay. Keep putting your best foot forward. Keep trying your best, and know that God is going to do the rest. That's another thing I say to myself. I'm going to do my best. God is going to do the rest. And even today, I made a mistake. I left my car lights on for hours, and then my car battery died. And then I had to wait for AAA to come and jump the car. And I really wanted to be home at a certain time so that I could film this YouTube video before the sun went down. And I was nervous that I wasn't going to be able to get home on time because I had basically timed everything perfectly. And I didn't account for this mistake that I had made. But guess what? Okay, the person came very quickly. The car got jumped. That whole thing was very quick. I caught every light on the way home. I made it, and we still have enough light for me to film the video. And so what is that? That's grace. That's even when I know I did the wrong thing, there was still enough room for me to do everything that I wanted to do, and nothing was ruined. But if I had been upset and telling myself, now you ruined your whole YouTube channel and no one's ever going to watch your videos and your career is going to go down the tubes, and if I had let myself spiral just because I had made that simple mistake with the car, who knows if I would even be filming this right now, if I would even be sharing this. And I honestly think that God let that whole thing happen so that I could have a really good story to tell you today, and so that you could learn. That's small, right? It's not as big as like maybe something in my career, but I can tell you many mistakes I've made in my career where I made a mistake and then it didn't look like it was able to be fixed, but it was fixed. You know, there was a workaround. There was someone else came up with an idea and made it all okay, or I came up with an idea and made it all okay. But the point of the matter is, whenever you make a mistake, there is a workaround. There is something that can be done to fix the situation. Nothing is ever just dead, gone, over, done with. The last point I'll leave you on is to heal your self-image. Because when we're a person who has a history of perfectionism can easily turn into a self-image issue. If you're like, every time I make a mistake, I feel bad about myself, and just because you're a human being, you do make mistakes, you might feel bad about yourself a lot and have a habit of feeling bad about yourself. And then that could morph into, I am a bad person. I don't deserve good things. I'm wrong. Here's everything that's wrong with me. I can't get this right. I can't get that right. You start identifying as a person who perpetually screws up, or you start identifying as a person who doesn't deserve good relationships because of a mistake you might have made in your past relationship, or whatever it may be. Healing your self-image could look all kinds of ways. I like to teach my clients a couple of things. First things first, you have to form an identity that does not depend on the world. You have to form an identity that does not depend on anything external at all. An identity that the world didn't give you and that the world can't take away. For me, this comes from my spiritual practice. I identify as a child of God, and because I identify as a child of God, I have a whole slew of other beliefs about myself that are all very positive, and I know that my status as a child of God will never change. And for you, that might help you, and you might want to go on that journey of developing that identity for yourself. But for other people, you might want to just determine, what is the identity that I need to take on that feels permanent and irreversible, that will help me feel good about myself, no matter what I do, no matter what other people do, no matter what happens in the world. Knowing that you are a good person, that you are loved, that you are cherished, that you are divine, worthy of good things, like all of that stuff. That's the stuff you have to really, really know. That is the step that you need to take on your healing journey. There are many ways to reprogram your mind. You could do hypnotherapy. You could do EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. You could use affirmations. Louise Hay actually has some self-esteem affirmations that I have been listening to. I've listened to them over 100 times. I just listen to them every single night. And they really help me to reprogram my sense of self. So find what works for you. I trust that you'll be guided to the steps that work the best for you. And I also want to let you know, if you have made it this far in the video, that I am hosting a retreat about healing your relationship with personal growth and really about healing your relationship with yourself. This retreat is coming up in June. It is called the You 2.0 retreat, and it's really to help you step into that new version of yourself that has unconditional self-love, that has a higher self-image, so that you can really go after all of your dreams and goals that you have in life, but knowing that you are unconditionally loving and unconditionally worthy, even when you miss the mark, even when you make mistakes. Because as you go towards things that you've never experienced before, as you level up your life, you will make mistakes and things won't always go your way. But can you love yourself along the way? Can you level up with love? And so that is what we're going to be focusing on at this retreat. If this video spoke to you and you're feeling called, you can check out all the retreat information at the description below. If you want to just get to know more about me and get more content from me, outside of YouTube, I share a newsletter every single week with reflections from my own personal journey, and also just with updates about what's going on inside the spiritual coaching business. And so if you want information about that, you can go ahead and sign up for the weekly newsletter below. I host a podcast called Cozy Co-Creation that also comes out every single week, and it'll either be a reflection from me or an incredible conversation with a guest, so you can go ahead and check that out too. And either way, I will see you very, very soon in another video. Take sweet care and be kind to yourself. Love you.